Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Tawana, and you've tuned in to Tawana Talks, where mom life gets real, the laughs are endless, and every day's an adventure. Today, we're diving into one of those wild, gotta laugh or you'll cry moments that every mom knows so well. So grab your coffee and let's go. Hey, y'all. So, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you back to another episode of Tawana Talks. You know me, I'm Tawana, your favorite host. And here is where I like to keep it real, keep it fun, and definitely keep it honest. So, whether you are sipping on your morning coffee, because that's what moms do, if you're stuck in the car rider line and drinking your second cup of coffee, or if you're just having another wild day in the day of a life of a mom and drinking your coffee, I'm here to bring you some laughs, some love, and a whole lot of tea. And that's for transparency, not that lightweight stuff. So let's dive right in because today's episode is going to be um, epic. Like, it's gonna, might I say, have moments where you're like, yep, that's me. And maybe you'll even be able to give yourself a high five for really surviving this crazy ride through this neighborhood that we like to call motherhood, because there are bumps, there's potholes, and then there's some smooth sailing as well. And so let's get into it. Let me set the scene for you. It's one of those mornings where it seems everything is aligned. You planned the night before, you know the type where everything is just fine. You got your to dos ready. You get up early. You've done your things, but then bam, life throws this curveball at you. You know the mornings I'm talking about. So on this day, I start my day with such a promising outlook, right? I had my list, I had my plans, I was set, I did my morning routine, I had my coffee, I drank all of the coffee, and I even got in my morning walk. And so my day was off to a really, really great start. And I was excited about that. So I thought, so here's my tea. And remember, this is a judgment free zone. So I'm going to go ahead and spill my tea. I had been noticing that my daughter, when she was playing outside, instead of bringing her trash on the inside to put them in the garbage, or like the garbage bins that are right outside where she's already playing, I noticed that she's been putting the trash in what we would call "why would you put it there" places, right? Like one time, she actually put her juice box and her chip bag in the mailbox. I'm like, really? And give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she put it there because she didn't want to walk the extra 8 steps to the trash can outside, or maybe she put it there so that she was just put in there for a second so that she would get it and remember to put it in the trash where it belongs a little bit later. Newsflash, if that was the case, she didn't remember because that's not her priority, right? So that's just to like give you just a little bit of context um, as I go further in this story. So keep that context in mind. So going back to this morning, I was coming in from my morning walk and I felt really good. But on my way walking up to the house, I saw two, not one, but two of my daughter's small, like Tupperware containers where she puts little snacks and things in when she's going outside, because for some reason she feels like she has to pack for zombie apocalypse when she's going outside. She has all of the snacks. So I see two of these containers on the ground in the front of the driveway. And it's not like, someone threw some trash on the ground, which is not the norm in this neighborhood either, but it would be different if it was like a chip bag, like, oh, okay. But these were two containers sitting right in the front of my driveway. So just like you are probably doing right now, you probably are shaking your head and you're asking yourself the same question that I'm asking, or I asked at that time. Why? Like, I was confused. So I did what any good mom would do. I left it there. Duh. Like, I didn't put it there, so why am I going to be the one to pick it up? I needed to wait for her to wake up, to have her retract her steps and pick up her own trash, because how else would she know that a magical fairy does not come pick up trash and trash just does not disappear? And so I continue with my day. And when she got up after our morning pleasantries, mommying began. And I tell her, you need to go outside and pick up those two containers out the driveway. I do not even waste time with like asking the dark hole questions of why would you choose that location to store trash or any of those types of things. It was just irrelevant to that moment. It just needed to be picked up, right? And so she comes in and she comes in with one container. Now, remember, y'all, I said there were two containers. So when she came in with only one container, my mommy attorney vibes kicked in immediately. And I went into full Claire Huxtable mode because prior to this, I thought that it was just trash and it was one of her lazy antics of not putting it in the trash can. But it was in the moment of her strategically having only one container that I knew she was up to something. She decided to, in that moment, when I started questioning her about going to get the second container, in her moment, she decided she was going to fire her truth attorney and defend herself with the my mom is insane and delirious defense. She began like adamantly trying to convince me that it's only one container and there was not two containers. And as I'm talking to her in the tone of I know there was two, and also in the tone of I know you know there was two, um, she was just going on and on. And at that moment, I felt like I was being gaslit. And so I'm like, listen, you better go outside and find that second container and do not come in this house until you find it. And so I had to let her know that I meant business. So while she's out there, I'm like trying to woosah and breathe because I'm like, oh, am I crazy? Like her defense almost worked. But once we got through like this little undesirable two step, which I'm sure is some type of TikTok dance, the truth was revealed. And then in that moment, I asked her, like, baby girl, why would you not tell me the truth? She looks at me and she says, I can't even get it out, y'all. She says, Mommy, I'm sorry, I malfunctioned. Y'all, all I could do was laugh. Like, what would you do in that moment when your daughter, after giving you this whole gaslit TikTok dance, then looks at you and says she malfunctions? Like, all you could do is laugh. I mean, she is 9. Why was that her obvious answer to come to after asking her this question? So yeah, I laughed, I cracked up, and I just was like, yeah, what do you say to that? But then I started thinking, like, maybe this is a teachable moment. And but it wasn't a teachable moment at that moment because it was just pure comedy. And like you are probably laughing at my pain now, that's what I continue to do. So now here's where the tea gets real. Like I fast forward to like a couple mornings later, and I start my morning routine. Like I said, my coffee, of course, my devotional time, my journal time, prayer. But this particular morning, I was like doing more than usual. Like I'm a multitasker, and sometimes I get into my multitask modes. And my toxic trait is I don't like being stuck doing something that doesn't allow me to do something else, like grocery store shopping. I don't like it because that's all you can do is walk up and down the aisles and pick up groceries. And it's not my favorite thing to do. Don't judge me. This is still my tea time. So getting back to this morning, I'm doing the multitasking through my morning routine. And so I had a particular project in my mind that I had been working on for a little bit. And so I figured that if I'm working on what God called me to do, then that also could constitute as me spending time with God. So I was justifying it in my mind. Oh no, contraire, foolish mortal was I. The day now begins, and my sweet darling daughter is up and up to her usual. Like, this is just the time span between her waking up and me getting her out to day camp that she was going to in the summer. And so She's up, she's doing the things, getting into things. She's deciding that at this moment, I think she wants to paint her nails or she wants to add extra product to her hair. She wants to take different foods to camp as if they're not going to feed her because she lives up in her mind a bunker lifestyle that the world is going to end anytime between that moment and the moment camp ends. And so she's like getting into messes. She's like doing the most and just getting into everything. Like she decides that she wants to get something at the moment we're supposed to be walking out the door, not the moment that she was sitting there chilling, watching TV or doing nothing. So I could literally feel my patience wearing thin. And before I knew it, I snapped. I spazzed out. Like it was all of the things. She was here, she was there, she was doing the most. And I was so angry and frustrated at all of the things that while we were heading out of the door and I was ready to drop her off at camp, I was praying through every red light that it turned green before I had to slow down so that I can beat my normal time, get her to camp, and I can have a moment because I had had it up to here. And moms, you know what I'm talking about, so you can so identify. Please do not judge me, but I was done all the while in the car while I'm driving her, and my temperature is beyond the tip of my head. I'm like experiencing mom guilt. Like after we have a moment, we start to think, "Oh my God, did I handle that right? Did I do that right?" And I'm asking myself like all the why questions. I go into full Claire Huxtable mode on myself. Like, why would you behave like that? Why couldn't you control yourself? Why did you say that? Why did you do that? All of the things are going through my head, and then it clicked. I malfunctioned. I'm sorry. I malfunctioned. Shaking my head, and I malfunctioned. I functioned badly. And so as she got out the car and I gave her a hug and a kiss to reassure her that through my transformation of a crazy mom, I still loved her and all of the things. She probably looking at me like, it's confirmed you're crazy. But as I was driving away from camp and I started thinking like, what was I missing? Why did I function badly? Why did I malfunction? And then it started to hit me. What did my day, my morning look like? What did my morning setup look like? Remember, I said I was multitasking my day. And so as I thought through it, I realized I didn't spend my intentional time with God the way that I usually do. Instead, instead of like really centering myself, I did not do that well for preparing for my day. I tried to like multitask the time, add it to another agenda item and a to-do item so I can just check it off the box. And I let the distractions in my mind and the distractions of what was going on around me consume me. And I misprioritized what was truly important, which was refocusing and aligning myself to prepare myself for the day. And because of that, I was not ready for the things that the day had in store for me. I was not prepared to handle the challenges of the day with grace. Like my cup was already empty because I did not refill it with the essentials that I needed to pour it out so that I can reactively be ready for the things that the day had for me. And so I was proactively be ready for the day for the things that the day had for me. And so I reactively was pouring from an empty cup. And so, yep, I malfunctioned. And I say that to say, like, preparing yourself for the day doesn't eliminate the challenges of the day, but it definitely helps you to prepare for the things that are there because now you're not at your wits' end, if you will. You have a little bit more of a wit capacity to burn so that you can be able to do the things that you need to do. But before we go deeper into that, into my mid morning meltdown, malfunction, and reflection, and talk more about this, I want to take a quick commercial break and let you know about some exciting things that I have going on and I want to share with you. So please don't go anywhere. Trust me, you're going to want to stay tuned to hear this. Hey, hey, hey. So I highly recommend this mommy daughter devotional, Empower Her to Thrive. Why? Because I wrote it. It's my first book, and I created this book for moms and daughters like me and my little one. So if you're ready to create some intentional and unforgettable memories with your little one, grab your copy of my inspiring mommy daughter devotional. Whether you are team digital or love a good paperback, I've got you covered. But it's my suggestion that you go ahead and get the paperback because I included a special bonus. It is an exclusive keepsake section to capture some candid memories that you and your daughter won't regret having. This is a game changer. It's packed with heartfelt stories like the ones heard here on this podcast, practical advice, realness, and a whole lot of love. It's perfect for building stronger and more meaningful connections with your baby girl. Visit my website now and grab your copy and let the bonding begin. All right, so I'm back and where was I? Oh, right, mid meltdown. So let me tell you about another time. And yeah, I said another time. You thought there was just one? Girl, this is a marathon. And moms, and if you are a new mom, get ready. And if you are an older mom, then you already know. Just minding you, I have two adults, and my 9 year old's my baby girl. And so I've been running this race for a long time. But in this situation, I'm trying to relax, and my daughter goes to use my bathroom. That's a warning that it's about to go down. And by it, I mean impulsive time. Side note, impulsivity is a real thing for an ADHD child. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But usually I have her count to some like random number like 76 or 89 to keep her focused on her task and really distract her from being sidetracked. But in this instance, I must have forgotten, right? So I was right. She was in the bathroom for all about 3 minutes. And my mom radar started to siren in my head. It's going down, it's going down, it's going down. That's what I hear. Like, right. So I jump up and I walk into the bathroom, and yeah, she was full face Picasso with not Walgreens price foundation. It's the match to your skin foundation, if you know what I mean. So this wasn't like, little pocket change price foundation. It's the kind that a little bit can go a long way, but she had a lot of bit going a little way. And I'm about to lose it. Because remember, messes and waste, I can't. And it hit me like a ton of bricks in that moment. I'm on the verge of malfunctioning. It was like a mirror was held to my face, and I saw my own behavior reflected back at me. Here I am about to get mad and have a temper tantrum that I expect her not to have when she's upset, but I'm about to do the same exact thing. So I had to step back for a moment and see this moment as a memory, one that like really could be looked back on and laughed about. And so that's what I did. I cracked up with her and not at her. Like I looked at her and just like started laughing, and she looked at me and she looked in the mirror, and all she could do was laugh too. Like she had full makeup, covered eyebrows. It just looked like a different person. And what better way to capture this moment? Duh. I got my phone and I took pictures. I mean, how else was I going to be able to have this memory ready to put on her senior page when she's in high school? How else was I going to have this memory to be able to one day share it with her children, my grandchildren? I mean, who knows? Maybe one day she might be an esteemed, famous makeup artist, and I can have this picture to look back on that maybe she can use it, for autograph pictures for those that she's doing makeup for. I don't know. But that's when I realized this wasn't about or just about her impulses. It was also about mine. Like I can get so caught up in the chaos, so distracted by little things that I completely lose sight of what really matters. And when I don't take time to get myself centered or to connect with God in the way that I know I need to, and I skip the foundation, pun intended, I'm bound to crack another pun intended, and I malfunction. And so it is what it is. Like, yeah. But because I mentioned impulses and having impulsive moments, I do want to take a moment to just really address the elephant in the room and talk a little bit about ADHD. These impulsive moments, they're real. Like, they're not just being difficult or acting out. Moms who are raising daughters or children with ADHD, we know these are real things. And if you are raising a child with ADHD and you are experiencing this and you think that they're just acting out, or they're just being difficult. Mm-mm. This is a part of who they are, and this is a part of who my daughter is. And as much as it can drive me up the wall, like, I don't know if I already mentioned, but I'm gonna mention this again. Two things raise my anxiety levels, and that is that those things are messes and wastefulness. And truth be told, the two byproducts or some of the byproducts of impulsivity are messes and wastefulness. And so it can be really, really frustrating when you're having these impulsive moments or your child is having these impulsive moments, because in that moment it could look like they're just doing a thing and doing the most. But it's my job to understand her, to work with her, to teach her how to navigate, this thing, how to navigate these things. And I've learned that I can't just react to the mess. I gotta be proactive. I have to be proactive in all of this. This means I gotta set up systems. I gotta be patient. And yes, sometimes I gotta just let go and laugh it off. Like, life is not always that serious. And so when she, like, there was a time she once put on a little bit of lipstick, or she asked to put on a little bit of lipstick, and that turned out to be a whole lot of blue eyeshadow. I mean, full face eyeshadow. And so all I could do in that moment was laugh too. And like, let me just say something for a second. Like, she looked pitiful, like full face, like covered, except I think she got everything except her eyes. Like, at what point did you realize that one more layer might have been overboard? I would have liked to been the fly on the wall in there. That fly would have been covered in eyeshadow as well. I mean, it was blue and it was all over my white bathroom counters. So, y'all, I was mad then too. But I had to pause and remember, this is just another moment. But her face had me in tears, cracking up. And yeah, I took pictures of that too. Like, how am I going to be able to share those memories? This was another opportunity for me to teach her, to really connect with her and show her that, yeah, she might malfunction sometimes, but that doesn't define her. Her impulses don't define her. It is a part of who she is, and we can navigate and we can get through this. And you know what? It doesn't define me either. And so, as we start to just really reflect on this, here's the reflection part that I want to share with you. I have to sit back and I have to ask myself, why did I let this get to me so much when a certain behavior is happening or something is happening? Why did I malfunction? And usually the answer is really simple. It's most times comes down to I didn't prepare myself. I didn't give myself space that I needed to be my best self. Instead, I may have started my day with intentions or good intentions, but I may have rushed through it. And that's where I go wrong, when I don't really give myself that space to show up as my best. I don't create an environment for me to be at my best, which then in turn to me not creating an environment for others to show up at their best as well. And so I have to ground myself. If I'm not grounded, things start to spiral and I spiral right along with them. But here's the thing, like, just because we malfunction, um, doesn't mean we have to stay there. We don't have to stay broken. We don't have to stay bad functioning. It just means we need a reset, right? Just like when our phones start to act up, we may shut it off and turn it back on because it needs to reset itself. Just like we go to bed at night, that's a reset so that our brain can do all of the things that it needs to do. If you're, and for my generation, what did we do with the Nintendo? We turned it off, we turned it back on, we unplugged it, plugged it back up. Sometimes we blew on the cartridge to give it like a reset, to cool it off, or I don't even know what the blowing on the cartridge was for, but we all did it to give it a reset. And sometimes that reset is just as simple as taking a breath, stepping back, and remembering what's really important. And for me, that's my relationship with God, my relationship with my children, and my own peace of mind. I wonder what it is for you. You can put that in the chat if you like, or just take a moment to really just kind of reflect on that. So now, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this. How do you empower yourself and your daughters to thrive? How do I empower myself and my daughter to thrive even through the days when we are having a malfunction? And so for me, as I mentioned, it's about being proactive and setting the tone for the day, being intentional with my time, and teaching my daughter that it's okay to mess up. What matters is how we bounce back, being honest so that we can learn and grow through those moments. And once we start to recalibrate through that, it does help us get through our toughest days, and it helps to create even more great days, and start to develop and look at every moment as a development of a memory of building a stronger, lasting relationship, and one that we can look back on and be excited about as we begin to grow older, and develop a friendship as she becomes an adult. So, all right, that's it for this episode. I hope that you had a good laugh at my expense, and maybe you even saw a little bit of yourself in my story, and hopefully that you walked away with some nuggets and wisdom. But I want you to remember that we're all just really out here doing our best, and it's okay to malfunction every now and then, but as long as you just don't stay there. So be sure to check out the links in the description for more resources that were discussed in this episode. And if you have a story to share, some tea that you need a different perspective on, or a growth reflection, hit me up. I love to hear from you. Until next time, keep thriving, keep laughing, and keep loving. This is Tawana signing off.